There's the MGTOW movement, which, man, I go back and forth. I see their point, but I don't agree with them on abandoning society and all that. But I see their point that I'm not a footstool. Go to bigmancomics.com for the best in action adventure entertainment. A little bit what I talked about my live stream this morning. It was a live stream on Monday, March 10th. First of all, I had a great weekend. I'm glad that daylight savings time is here. All you weirdos that want more light in the morning, sorry, you're just wrong. Go running at 5 a.m. Nobody cares. Go run in the dark. I don't really care. Wear something reflective. Standing on the shoulders of giants. This is my ethos. This is my life philosophy. I talk about this constantly. It's why I do what I do. A lot was done for me. Everything was done for me, practically. Everything was done for you. When you consider what you've done to make yourself great, to achieve things, it's a lot. You've done your responsibility if you've achieved things, but the amount of things that were set up for you account for like 99% of it. When you go from the mundane and the simple to the sewer existing, the paved road in front of your house, electricity, refrigeration, farming, the printing press, literature, everything has been made over millennia, and it's been bought and paid for with blood and toil and misery. And the vast majority of people that earned this stuff with the aggregate of just never giving up, the human spirit, the undeniable determination of the human spirit in general, they never got to enjoy it like you did. This is the best time in the history of the world to be alive. Yes, there's turmoil, there's things going on. There always is. There's always a problem of whatever age you're living in. There's always some challenges. But it's safer than ever on Earth. To be murdered, like you have the lowest chance of it nowadays compared to ever, on average, per capita in the world. And you have the easiest access to food and health and entertainment and education, and you have it easier than anyone before you, even though you may have it hard. It's relative. It is relative. And knowing that deep inside of me, that's why I do what I do. It's why I left DC Comics, because someone got after me for defending my good friend and brilliant businessman, Eric July. Like, oh, his comics aren't perfect. Why don't you criticize them for the writing or the art or the whatever? It's like, well, first of all, I don't think they suck like you do because you're deranged and you have Eric July derangement syndrome. Secondarily, I don't critique stuff for being low artistic quality. Like, in general, I'll make fun of things, a bad movie or whatever, but those are like more fun. It's not like hateful and crazy and this shouldn't exist. The stuff I go after is filth, degeneracy. Like when it's actually filthy and pushing evil, filthy agendas. That's the stuff I go after. So when DC Comics wants to make anti-American Superman and have the underage sex life of Superman's son be the focus of the book, that's filth. That's not that it's bad writing or bad art. The art was phenomenal. I made it, right, with John Timms. The art was phenomenal, but the message was filth, and that's my difference there. So standing on the shoulders of giants, I realize what it's done for me. A lot of death and a lot of misery and a lot of tears and gnashing of teeth and just these. Imagine just leaving these who was the writer that said quiet lives of desperation. How many people were born, suffered, and died, and they knew very little joy to get you and I here today? We owe them everything, and I think awful people don't understand that. There's the MGTOW movement, which, man, I go back and forth. I see their point, but I don't agree with them on abandoning society and all that. But I see their point that I'm not a footstool. I'm not a faucet to be turned off and on at the pleasure of evil people that want to, as Ayn Rand wrote in Atlas Shrugged, the moochers and the looters, the people that think you're here to be their slave. I get that. And it's not that I want to do the right thing for the future and help build the future because I want to be used and I want to be a nice guy and I want to do the right thing. So I'll virtue signal. People think I'm good. I do it internally for me. That my conscience tells me so much was done for you. This is what you owe the human race. Now, do I owe awful, evil, lazy people that are destructive and subversive to society? Do I owe them all this, welfare and all this nonsense? And like the U.S. aid thing, right? America has to pay the bills of the world. No, we're not the world police. We're not the world's checkbook. We're not the world's piggy bank. That's not what it means to stand on the shoulders of giants and pay it forward. What it means is to live a good moral life. That's what it means. So, for instance, for what I do, art, which is not as serious as some things, but it's very important because it influences culture. The way people receive and understand art, it persuades them better than anything in the world. Art is the most persuasive thing in the world, whether you believe that or not. It's absolutely true. There's scientific research that backs this. Can you think of anything more persuasive? Of course not. Of course not. And when you make evil art, you make filth, you make trash. I was talking this morning about I wasn't allowed to watch things like Married with Children or even The Simpsons. I definitely didn't see dirty movies or anything growing up, and so many people did, and it was so normalized for them. And it reminds me of this concept, and maybe you don't get it, maybe you disagree, maybe you think I'm being a prude and all that, but I'm not. I'm really not, because I see it both ways. Because I've seen some bad stuff now that I'm an adult, and I lived without it as a child. David Foster Wallace was a very troubled man, but a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant writer. One of the best writers that America's ever produced. He had a special brain. Like, if you read his stuff, it's insane how good of a writer he is. But he's very troubled. But I saw a speech he was giving, I think at a university. It was, and one of his points was about self-awareness. I talked about this on my show this morning. There are two fish swimming along, and they're young men. They're like, just imagine young men, but it's fish for the scenario. You'll see why. And they're swimming along on a beautiful day in a little pond, and an old man fish swims in the other direction, right past them. He says, "Water's beautiful today, isn't it, boys?" And the two young men fish, they look at each other confused, like, what the hell is water? And because they were born in water, and they're young, and they're always wet, and they're never dry, they don't understand wetness and dryness and water and no water and the air, and they don't get it because water's just normalized to them. This is just how it is. So when he asks them, "Water's beautiful today, isn't it?" They don't even know what water is. So that's a shorthand I have with my wife all the time. When we talk about people where stuff just goes over their head because it was normalized for them growing up, it's a what the hell is water kind of moment. You know what I mean? Where they're so sure of themselves, and it's because they don't have perspective. As someone who was raised not allowed to watch filth, not allowed to listen to it, all the music and all that. And to this day, I thank God my mom was overly strict like that, because I don't dig it. I'm not into it. I'm a First Amendment guy, but I think pornography should be outlawed. Now, don't ask me. You're going to have to ask a much better lawyer than me. I'm not a lawyer, but, a legal scholar. How do you outlaw that? I don't know, but it doesn't do any good to society. It's destructive and evil. I'm an artist. We do life drawing. We do nudes. I shouldn't be in trouble for that. But my point is, if you were raised watching Married with Children, watching movies that had dirty sexual content, drug content, and you're, 8, 9, 10 years old, and your parents were permissive, you could end up in the what the hell is water kind of thing when you hear someone like me talk about this stuff. Because you're like, whatever, it's just a joke. Deadpool's just a funny movie. It's filth. It's trash. It's filth. It's destructive to society. And I think for people that suffered so much for us for millennia, our people, whoever you are, you're here now because of the people before you that did so much, and, all the suffering they did for you. You have a duty to pay it forward. You really do. And not to be used and abused. I get that. There are, man, if you're willing to work hard and be honorable, there are so many snakes and vampires out there that can smell it. They can smell your righteousness and your character, and they want to take advantage of it because they know you're the kind of person that's going to work hard, and they want to funnel that over to themselves instead of to society in general. So my point is, no matter what you're doing, no matter where you are, you have benefited from this, and you can't deny it. You can't run from it. You say, well, they didn't do it for me. No. You're here. You have clean tap water. You're here. They did it for you. And that's okay because you're doing it, hopefully, for the future. So that's all I'm talking about when I go into this stuff. We pay it forward. We keep our eyes wide open, and we don't get used by the communists and all that who will take our good virtue and use it against us. But standing on the shoulders of giants, it means honoring your father and mother, your grandparents, and your so on and so forth, going back and back forever, and even strangers you're not related to because they're all part of the human family. This is why I make art. This is why I want to thrill you guys and make you happy, because it was done for me. Great art was made for me, and it inspired me, and it changed my life, and it gave me a destiny. And I love that people created art that I've enjoyed and been inspired by. Guys, go to bigmancomics.com. Get the first printing of Dean Cain, All-American Lawman. Not many are left. Empyrean is almost done. Tyrus, I'm on page 59. That's a 120-page graphic novel. So I've illustrated almost half the book with Acheon. Best thing I've ever worked on. It's coming out so well. Empyrean, I couldn't be more impressed with what we've done there. We saved Star Wars. The woke weirdos ruined Star Wars. I gave it back to you. You're welcome. That's going to go crowdfund before the end of the spring. Hopefully Tyrus before the end of the summer. And then Dean Cain too, and on and on and on. You're going to love what we are doing. Get some apparel there at Big Man Comics. And follow me on X. I'm Big Man Comics on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Gabe, Eltaeb. You see how to spell it right there. It's a little funny. It's an Arabic last name. And guys, I will see you every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, right here, live streaming while I draw the Tyrus book. I do the finish inks over Acheon's layouts. Wednesday night, 7 p.m. with the great, hilarious Jericho Green. That's Double Impact. This week's movie and improv show is The Princess Bride. And I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching. Make sure to follow us on social media and go to bigmancomics.com.